So welcome everyone. I'm Kathy Barberi, and this is our month on giving more qualified referrals and receiving more qualified referrals. That is our goal. As we're beginning, sorry, last week I was under the weather and you couldn't understand hardly anything I was saying. So I actually didn't do the recording because I was under the weather half the week and dealing with some other stuff. But I wanted to go ahead and start off with a live record or a live webinar so that we would have some feedback so we can work through the month on the numbers that we're discussing. So if you have not pulled your referral numbers, it is really important to keep a running tally. And you can do that easily through BNI Connect, of course. If you're on any of our core groups, you're keeping up with those as well. So let's first find out, evaluate where you are and where your referral partners currently are. And then I'm going to focus next month or next week on pick 3 a month. We're going to talk about some creator activities and then how to motivate your referral partners. And also in this, evaluate where you are and where your referral partners currently are. That's why I wanted to make sure, as we're doing training for new member training, which, by the way, we have 1 a week pretty much, and sometimes 2 a week. We have about 5 in the region. And the reason we increase those is to make sure that your members can get to training within the first 30 days of membership. In the past, it used to be in the first 90 days, but my gosh, that's a quarter for people to really understand the cycle of referrals, how to qualify them. And most people will say, oh, I know how to do this. Well, not really. You can always sharpen your skills. And so we need them to give a good message and understand the message you're receiving, because your message is a huge factor on the amount and the quality of referrals that you receive. I think a lot of people, just think, oh, I'll just show up and talk about what I need and who I'm looking for. But that's just the beginning of it. And so we need to take a look at the amount of referrals that you're giving and receiving. And then I want to look at the quality of those referrals. And so when we're talking about the referral grading, I know one person very close in my network shared with me a story that they received a referral. They were in a one-to-one, and someone said, oh, you know what, I'm going to look some people up right now for you. And most of us would say, oh, that's so cool, thanks. And they did, and they put them as a referral, but it's someone that could use their service, not necessarily qualifying factors of, are you all in the market right now for that? Who makes that purchase decision? And can you put us in touch with that person? And so it was ranked a 4, but really that was a nice start. It just wasn't where it should have been. And so what does that person then do? Do they just go, well, thanks, it didn't really turn into anything? No, you have to coach that referral partner. And so that's the missing element sometimes, I think, is we receive something that's a nice thought. Because I said to this person, do you think they were trying to swindle you and just get credit for a referral? No, they were genuinely trying to help you, because when we're in one-to-ones, we uncover ideas, right? And we think, oh, I know someone. It's like your new best friend syndrome, right? You're like, oh, we can conquer the world together sitting in this one-to-one, but then we get busy, or we think that it was a good prospect, but we didn't quite qualify it. So there's some steps in between, I think, that we're missing sometimes, and that our referral partners are missing, and not intentionally. It's all very good intentions, but if we don't train them and give them feedback and communicate with them, then they can't learn to be a better referral partner. And I think that's kind of on us if we don't train them. So there's a lot of little steps in between. It's not as simple as we think. And so that's why I wanted you to pull your numbers. And you may say, well, some of those were qualified, some of them weren't, but track back and figure out. And when we say, oh, they weren't qualified, it's not a mean statement. And I think some people, are like, well, I don't want to say anything. Well, if you don't say anything, you're going to keep getting the same things. So the other part is, I want you to think about what are the things that you can do to impact the referrals that you're giving, but also the referrals that you're receiving. And we always like to say, are you fun to refer to? And it's a little bit of it is, yeah, not fun, but are you showing up? Are you contributing? We know that if you don't show up and contribute, you're not going to get anything either. And that's not because people are keeping score. It's just activity drives more activity. And so what are some things that you can do? You know, being visible and active, obviously, having a good attitude. No one likes a, you know, Debbie Downer in the group. Keeping your word, showing up, not just on time, but early, making sure you follow up and communicate with your referral partners. I think a lot of people put in a lot of effort, but their referral partners may not know about the effort. So when you're inviting, make sure that your folks know that you're trying, or when you're working on a referral, communicate, hey, I've got something I'm working on for you. I want to share it with you. What do you think? What are things that can mess up the fun to refer to? Being late, not being prepared, selling to the group. That's not what we're here for. We're here to develop referrals, and sometimes we go into throw up on them sales mode, and we don't mean to, but you have to really watch that. Just negative attitude. I don't have any time in my life. I don't know about you all, for those kind of folks. Missing meetings, not following up properly, disappearing on folks. So we know these are kind of the obvious things, but obviously not, because they still happen, and sometimes they're not happening if they should be. So, and I think the biggest thing is just taking responsibility for following up and communicating with your folks. So let's talk about, we've talked in the past about an advocator, a promoter, and a creator. And I gave visuals before about you and your referral partners are in one of these categories. So an advocator, let's look, and there's the tree, right? There's the apple or the pear tree, whichever one you prefer. The advocator, you know, they're just waiting. They're just sitting la, 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 la under the tree. Are you one of those? Just because you go to your meeting once a week does not mean that you're like a super promoter of your chapter. That's just the bare minimum, right? Hey, Gail. And so there are some things that will naturally fall into your lap. So for instance, a neighbor texted me asking for a service for their home, and that just fell in my lap. But she knows about it because she knows to ask me, hey, do you have anyone? Because I'm way past advocator. So I've trained my people around me to listen for referrals as well. And so, you know, most of the members are at least an advocator, because they're reactively listening, right? So it's going to fall out of the sky and hit them. And they're like, wow, cool, look what I stumbled across. We don't want you or your referral partners to just be advocators. We want them to be more promoters. And what does the promoter do? They're going to listen actively and watch for triggers. They're going to listen to the things that you share in your weekly presentations and in your one-to-ones. Don't just tell us what you're looking for. Tell us what to listen for and what to watch for. So for instance, on this call, I want you to give me some feedback on what are some things that we can listen for or look for when we're sitting with clients, family, and friends to help uncover opportunities for you. Not that they're falling into our laps, but for us, for instance, for our organic carpet cleaning company, a trigger that we would listen for is someone planning a party or in their home or office, or someone talking about a pet, because we want introductions to groomers, pet sitters, and vets. So those are some things that give you triggers to listen and look for, right? And then tell us, what would we say to one of those people? Quentin, people who are paying more than $1,000, oh my gosh, I can't imagine, paying $1,000 a month for insurance. And people are either celebrating or complaining out there. When you ask folks, hey, how's it going? And you're like, ooh, sorry I asked. Sometimes they will, you know, really tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so we want to listen for those kind of things. How's it going with your new dog? How's it going with your new job? I know it's off topic, but what type of insurance do you carry? And asking people, I don't know anyone that actually says, I can't believe I'm paying $1,000. Some people will complain about the amount that they're paying. And so then what do we say? Not just what are we looking for, but tell us what to say. So come up with a list. What I want you to do is really take your chapter roster, and if you don't know where to pull that, it's pretty easy. I'll show you. And I want you to go through and kind of use, you know, just a rough guess of, do you think that Bob, Sally, and Sue are advocators? They're just kind of sitting back waiting for something to happen. I'd hate to say it, but a lot of our folks are going to be here. Your promoters and creators are closer to your contact spheres. So you will have someone in an unrelated sphere that you're just not going to get a lot of business from or give business to. So once you are working with these folks and moving them toward creator, pick an advocator a month and have a one-to-one. And this is, I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is for another week. But we're going to talk about how to motivate these people to move them. But if they're an advocator for you and not doing a lot, it's probably the same for you. Maybe you just don't have a lot in common with them. Okay, so those are the advocators. I want you to think of some people in your chapters that are advocators. It's not a bad place to be. They made the first step. They joined the chapter. They're having one-to-ones. They're showing up, hopefully. So make that list, and it's okay. And then we've got the promoters, right? They're listening for triggers. They're comfortable. They know what to say. And maybe they're giving on a regular basis. It may not be as regular as you'd like. So we'll work on moving them as well. But where are you to that person? I want you to put where you are and where they are. So when you, and I'm going to pull a chapter roster in just a second. And then the promoter is also going to have a real quick response to say, oh, you know, I know someone that I think can help you with that. Have you ever considered looking at it this way, right? And then see a need you're comfortable with. When you see something, you're able to start a conversation with them to say, you know, are we back?
I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, okay. I was like, that was the sound. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why internet going in and out on a rainy day. Not sure. So the promoter is sitting under the tree waiting for something, and they're ready to catch it. So get that visual, right? They're looking, they're listening, they're ready to catch it. It's not going to fall on the ground. And and then who are you a promoter for? So let's not forget to rank where you are as well, right? And then the creator. Ooh, let's strive to be creators. This is a little bit, I think it's easier than most people let on. People are like, wow, I'm just so busy, and I just, you know, my clients aren't in this area. And I'm like, so do you only do business, or do you only talk to your clients? No. Someone said that in the training the other day. Well, my clients are, you know, I don't really interface with them face to face. I'm like, so do you talk to them? Do you email them? Of course. Yes, you do. Or, you know, do you have a life outside of work? Yes, you do. So it's not just, well, my clients. No. A true networker is beyond clients. And in the tree on our Facebook page, by the way, don't forget to go and post something. Post your photo of your mug. I'm going to do that here in just a second. Pulled out one of my old mugs that I haven't used in a while because it's a rainy day. And this one's all flowers. I'm ready for some flowers. But so thinking about how can you be a creation a tree, right? And then Quentin, you had that visual of like shaking, you know, a tree. And how are we going to apply some strategy for it? And so what I wanted you to do was pull the list of your roster of your chapter, and then we know that you have referral partners outside your chapter. whenever we're doing training, we don't want it just to be BNI centric, because this kind of thing you can apply to people that aren't in your chapter, that maybe you're like, ooh, wow, I'm the creator for this person, and they're way back on the other side just sitting and taking, not because they don't care, it's because you haven't had a conversation with them, probably, to say, hey, could we get together on a regular basis? And if people don't join BNI, you know, I know in the past people are like, oh, I'm not going to do business with them. That is silly. If they provide a good service, yes, the idea is that you pass referrals to the person in your chapter, if at all possible. But if someone just isn't going to join, our tree guy does great work at a great price, and his boss won't let him join. It's not his thing. He's petrified of, you know, we all know people that just won't for whatever reason. So what? If they're still a good referral person for you, then use some of these things and apply it to them. Yes, I would love for them to be in a chapter with you, but sometimes they're not. So apply these things outside of your chapter as well. And you may uncover some folks that you're like, ooh, I haven't even invited them yet. You might actually be shocked. So the creator is not going to sit back and wait for things to happen. They go out and they find it. They work with people and they uncover opportunities for you. They're not going to give up easy. They can give a testimonial without thinking, and they make it happen, right? They're the movers and shakers, if you get the visual. So who are you a creator for in your chapter, and who is a creator for you? It might be a low number. Well, how are we going to fix that? Again, you got to pull that roster and literally, not mentally, literally make a note of where they are, right? So I want to show you, if you don't know how to pull a roster, let's go do that in BNI Connect, because you're going to actually, you can export it and actually write on there. So I'm just going to pull a roster of Success Alliance. Let's just do that. So it's a report. You go into report in your chapter. Sorry, I just stepped on the dog's foot. That would be Chewy. Chapter roster report. Bam, there it is. Or you can go to your website, chapter website. But you've got, I mean, this is the critical part, is you've got to pull the list and write out where you think everyone is. You could also pull the palms and, you know, your personal palms and keep up with that. But look at the numbers, and then not just the numbers, but think back, pull and find out, were they really qualified? Did they convert to any business? Because that's important too. Just the number, the sheer number. And if you've gotten some business from those folks, were they tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3? I would say of the ones, because we really need to get to brass tacks, right? And some of you are in the early stages. Maybe you're a newer member and you're giving tier 1 referrals. That's fine. I would say take those out of our equation for this month, because sometimes those are like, hey, I need your service. Will you take care of this for me? Yes, that's great. But what we're really going for is the tier 2 and tier 3 referrals. The tier 1 will only get you so far. And those are personal referrals. I'm looking for folks that are the creators, you know, the promoters and the creators. And so it'd be interesting to find, if you are shaving these off, are they qualified, number one? And just because they didn't turn into a sale doesn't mean they weren't qualified. Qualified means it's someone in the product, or that needs the product or service, is open to taking the call. And I always add, and will you return it? Don't do me the favor of the introduction. If you aren't really in the need, let me know so I can tell my referral partner to back off. And so I think that's really important when we're qualifying these referrals, because a lot of folks have talked about, I had one gentleman that said, well, there wasn't a phone number on the referral. Do you guys think that was a qualified referral? There was no phone number. And he's like, it was someone in their neighborhood had posted a need for their product and service, and the woman mentioned it when she sent the referral to this member. And it said, this was posted in our neighborhood Facebook page and I recommended you, which is a nice thought, don't get me wrong. but without a phone number or a way to hunt them down, it kind of doesn't count. Well, it doesn't kind of, it's not a referral. And so I said to this member, I said, well, if it was in their Facebook group in their neighborhood, don't you think they could actually, I don't know, what would you guys do? If you got that referral, would you just go, well, there's no phone number? What would you do? Tell me. Let me unmute you so you can tell me. Hold on. Okay. What would you do if you had that scenario? And someone said, hey, someone in our Facebook group, a closed group, right, in their neighborhood, mentioned you, and they counted it as a referral. You can tell me you mentioned it. That's great. Thank you. But don't count it as a referral, especially if you don't have contact information, for goodness sake. I was not happy, obviously. Anyone?
I would say information about them.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's kind of the obvious. And so I said to this member, and it was kind of a newer member that got it from a very well-established and leadership position member, which made me scratch my head even more, and said the same thing. I'm like, well, if they're in a closed group, I get like some of the bigger groups, like connections I have and connections I need. Sometimes the people I'm bombarded and they don't know them personally, but this is in the neighborhood. I said, well, I would just say, could you message us together on Facebook and just send a private message to the person to say, and I've done this, hey, I'm going to have this person give you a call. I'll email introduce you, right? You can always take it up a little bit of a level. And so I thought that was interesting. So of the referrals that you all are referencing that you've received, this is a safe zone for you. How many of those do you feel have been qualified? Is it 75%, 50%, or less than 50%?
I haven't had any yet, so I don't know.
Oh, that's Miss Gail.
Yes.
I know your voice. I am working on one for you, by the way. There's a gentleman, it's a long, convoluted story, but he is a financial advisor starting a chapter in Dawsonville. And send me an email on this because it's so funny you're on here that I'm like, I just saw him last week. Who grew up in the restaurant, what is it? The restaurant equipment business. I was like, oh my gosh, that would be a great introduction. I told him what you do, and he's like, oh, absolutely. So send me an email so I can, the gentleman, just tell me Dawsonville and I'll remember it.
Okay.
And that will be a great source for you. Anyone else? Someone texted in that they had about 60% And then what would you say your closing ratios have been on these referrals? Have they actually turned the same one that we're talking about? Are they converting? And we're pretty much at our time, but so of the ones that when we're at 50% are qualified, that's troublesome to me. So how do we need to look at your message. It's not just the members like trying to give a, junk referral. I think most people have good intentions when it comes to all of this. It's an education thing. And so, Oh, good. So Quentin, 70% are converting. Of the 30%, Quentin, that aren't converting, what do you think that is? It's they just changed their mind. They don't want to spend the money. What would you say? Because I think those are important things to, we get so busy with moving on and reacting to other things. And we get so busy that I think, every month, I don't know if you all do this or even from the past week, evaluate, did they close? What could you have done to help that close or help your member have a more qualified referral for you? Because, waiting 6 months, then you're like, I can't really remember. What was that? So I think having a reflective time, whether that's weekly or monthly, to say, how could this have been better? What could I have done, number one, to deliver a more specific ask for the types of referrals that you've been getting? And it'd be interesting to see the referrals, the things that you're asking for this month. Does it trickle in? Are you actually getting what you're asking for? Or is it something unrelated? Has it been a previous message or is it most recent? So I always like to look at those trends as well. So thinking about all of that, I would love it if confidentially you sent me a list of where you think you are with people and where your referral partners are. And let's talk offline about how to move some of those folks up a level and move you up a level. And the focus, that's the thing. I think picking one person a month to focus on is plenty. That's a major undertaking. To do more, now you're still going to look for your regular referrals and that kind of thing and hope to get those referrals, but just add one point of focus for someone in your sphere that is not like, I think the people in your sphere should at least be advocators and promoter or creators for sure, right? Oh, I'm sorry, promoter and a creator for sure. If the people in your sphere are not actively pursuing and you know it, maybe it's because you need to re-educate them or they don't know you that well, or maybe you're newer. And those should be the people that we are having one-to-ones with extra, trying to uncover things for them as well, doing some research on their LinkedIn, looking at their web page, knowing their products and services, any testimonial videos, really do some research on them and vice versa and really say, hey, you know what? I don't think I've been giving you as much business as I could. I think I sit on business and maybe I just don't see it. Could you help me give you more business? Like, I want to understand more about how I can do some things. And next week, we're going to talk about what are some collaborative ideas that can help your members. And so I want you all to think about how do you, because I want you to share it next week on the call, how do you find business? Are you doing putting people in newsletters? Are you doing face-to-face introductions? Are you taking people networking? How are you uncovering the referrals that you're giving? I'd like to hear some of those scenarios, like not just the ones that fall in your lap magically out of the sky, but how are you uncovering referrals? So be thinking about some ways that you are doing that so you can share next week. So two tasks. One is to identify where you are and where your members are, and share that with me if you would, confidentially. I swear to you, I won't share it with anyone, because some people will be like, oh, I can't believe you think I don't give you much. And other people will be like, you think that you give me a bunch? Oh, no, we got to talk. So it's all relative, but I want to see it through your eyes. And then think about the ideas of how you're uncovering referrals. Again, not the ones that fall out of the sky. So Thanks a lot. Y'all have a great week. You're welcome to join us at 9:30, by the way, for the new member webinar, in case you don't know what that is. We're really pushing for new member engagement. So if you could participate, that would be awesome. Have a great
make sure
week.
and register for next week.
Yes,
Kathy,
please.
you see what you see on this right now? And I'll just go right into the next one.
It is on a different login. It is listed on the website under the event. It's the new member webinar. And yeah, if you guys would snap a photo of your mug or go post something that you enjoyed or learned about today, so we can encourage your referral partners, by the way, to be on here, because it falls on deaf ears if they don't hear it. Thanks a lot. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.